Welcome back to Pod Chat with Nat. This is a really super simple way of answering your questions. Every week, I get asked loads of questions from clients, people I surround myself in networks. And I was like, well, how do I add more value? What can I do? So every Friday, I do Pod Chat with Nat. It's also worked to keep me accountable to starting my YouTube channel. Very, very new, very infant. But if we don't start somewhere, we don't build anything. So my outlook on it is that I will stay consistent every single Friday. I do Pod Chat with Nat. It goes onto my podcast, so you can get it on Apple and loads of the platforms, and you can also get it on YouTube. Happy days. So this week, let's get straight to it. I'm going to be answering a question on failure. And the question came about from a client was like, well, what if I fail at this? Now I could build on that and say things like, what if it doesn't work, etc. I'm going to start celebrating failure. Now, I'm doing that for many reasons. We often have lots of obstacles we've got to overcome in our business. And one of them is a fear of judgment. And I see this everywhere with people is that they fear getting themselves out there. They fear getting into conversations. They fear people around them that they love as well, their friends and their family, challenging them, judging them, when actually they're just protecting them when they say things like, don't ever leave that job, or why would you do that? But those kind of comments don't help us. You've got to get into communities and networks, hence why I run my WhatsApp 360 Success community, which is free, because I want people to have a safe space where they're around people that get it, that are like-minded, and that help and support them. And this idea of failure is coming really rife within there. Even this week, I've shared about this idea of if you don't put out something every single day to connect with your ideal client or talk about what you do or share what your services are, your products are, nobody knows about it. Therefore, nobody's going to buy. And if nobody buys, we don't have any money, we don't have any clients, we can't build a business. And that's very frustrating. And of course, we're going to then 10 times all those self-doubts, fear, frustration, lots of overwhelm coming in, stress, because we aren't getting the results we want. So everything is often around strategy, hence why I work with that, because we can set visions, we can set goals, we can set targets, and we reverse engineer. Now, I also know myself and my own journey that I've substantially invested in coaches, mentors, strategists, and I had an amazing opportunity to meet Marie Forleo a couple of years ago, and she was phenomenal in a room where she was speaking and how she took authority and captured the audience instantly with her connection. Very demure, very eloquent, and I noticed there was a shift between that and then a round circle she did, which was six people and herself for an hour, asking her questions and talking about business and talking about life. And I said to her, I substantially invest. It's really hard to think that something could fail when I've invested so much personally, effort, energy, financially, emotionally. And she said, but you're going to. And she said the phrase, if you've got to throw spaghetti at the wall. And I sit on like two camps with that. I'm sitting there. Sometimes that works really well, and other times we have to be a bit more intentional than that, and we have to take calculated risks. But I also sometimes just like the idea of messy action, just go for it. So with all of this, what I'm sharing is there is no one size fits all. There's not one way of getting more money into your business. There's not one more way of growing your client base. There's not one way of just building a thriving business. There are so many ways of doing it, and you've got to find what works for you. And the reality is, she shared that you're going to fail at stuff. You've got to embrace that. And it's like that quote that, well, what if I fail, or what if I fly? You've got to go for it times. And the reason I want to look at celebrating failure is because I now look at it when I've reframed it, and reframing is so powerful as a coaching skill, as a business skill, in giving you perspective of where you're at and where you want to be. And the reality is that if we celebrate failure, it invites us with an opportunity to grow. And every day I want to grow. And I invite you to want to have this mindset too. Every day I want to look at things and say, where am I at? Where could I be better? Where could I give more for my clients? what went really well, what didn't go well, do more of what works well, and look at what didn't go as well and change one thing at a time. And when we can have this mindset, it's really powerful because we are less emotional and attached to our business. And again, like anything that I've just shared today, that's got highs and lows. We need to be passionate and obsessed with building a business, but we also can't get wrapped up in the emotion of when things don't go well, that that's on us and we're a failure and we're not getting what we want. And we can't look at it that it's our clients' outcomes if they're not getting what they want, that, well, that's on us, because it's not. So this idea of failure for me is often centered as well around judgment. It's centered around fear, and fear is false evidence appearing real. So I want to reframe failure in that this is an opportunity. Failure, if we are to define it, is all around a lack of success. It is around like a non-fulfillment. It's frustrating. So look at what it means to you and change that it's an opportunity. And with opportunity comes so much more for us in life. So like, this isn't having to be much longer than that. It can be like bursts, it can be moments. And I'm a big believer that there are certain moments in our life where we'll just like click our fingers, switch that switch, and we decide to take action. And this is where awareness is really powerful. Everything is about starting with awareness. And this is why I often say start with your why and you. And then from that awareness, we can decide what we want, and we can then take action on what we want. And those things together, the awareness, the deciding what we want, what we don't want, the taking action, brings the change. It's those steps that bring change ultimately. So today, I want you to celebrate one thing that you failed at this week. And I want you to take that as a learning, an opportunity to grow and to change the way you see things, and see this as a great thing that you've got more. Like, why would we ever want to be in a place where we know everything and that we aren't able to grow and improve? I would much rather this perspective of life and outlook in my mindset around that way. So yes, celebrate your wins, celebrate the smallest wins, whether it's getting up and getting to the gym on time every single week, whether it's that you made your bed in the morning. And there's an amazing TED talk around, if you want to feel good, just kind of make your bed in the morning. If you want to do anything, just start with that change. So this starts with you. It starts with how you see things. Let's change the way you see failure. What if there was one thing you failed at this week would be the turning point for you moving forward? What would that one failure have been? Let's change the way you see things on failure.